Good afternoon. I'm in Poland today. We're just on the border with Cheshire, which is over those hills there, or because we're a little bit turned around, it could be over those hills. It's very windy. We've got a lot of noise coming from the village if you want to turn the camera. There's an old Polish guy chopping some wood, throwing some trees down. Why not? We've got a cool town that way with cool streams, rivers, quaint little shops, chapels. I've got my cold coffee, so we're good to go. Cheers. So I want to talk about the best education you can get, and that is traveling. I'm not talking about traveling where you do a predicted experience like bungee jumping or swimming with turtles, even though that sounds fun and you should do that. I'm talking about the education you can get from traveling. I'm talking about throwing yourself into an unpredictable world, which can be scary, and finding within the nooks and crannies something what you didn't know existed, but what is also very familiar to you. So while we were in the city centre, I found a really cool Polish bookshop, and I try to do this every time I go away. I try to find a bookshop, I try to find some books that have been translated from the origin country into English. So I got a few selected works of poetry here, and within these I'll be able to find information out about villages like this. I'll be able to understand the mindset of the people. I'll be able to understand what the people are fighting for. And usually within that you find difference, you find what when that curiosity strikes and you look at another country and you wonder what it is those people are worried about or fighting for, you find that in books like this. But you also find this humanity which is so grounding, you realize you're no different from them. You realize the experiences what other writers have written in poetry and in stories. You find that they are very watch me knock this coffee off now. You find that they are very similar to the lives we live in our own villages and cities, and it makes the world a slightly smaller place. And when you realize that, when you get back and you watch your news, you will realize what is the accuracy of what they're saying about another country, because it's not usually the governments or the structures, because every single country has villages like this. Every single society has the heavy metal scene. Every single society has the minorities what are trying to claw for some equality. And that is the education of travel. And it can't really be found if you're just going to, I mean, there is great things in museums, but if you're just going through the museums, if you're just going to all the places what are on social media, if you're going to a place and asking for experience, as opposed to just sitting on a park bench or just sitting in a place like this and trying to study the landscape and trying to study what people are doing, not only are you absorbing the Polish way or wherever it is, you're absorbing that culture, but you are learning far more than you ever thought than doing a tour. Because when you do a tour, how much of that sits in your head? And the real aim for a traveler is to be invited into somebody's house. That's the real aim, to make friends in the country you're in, to try some real authentic, because in social media they advertise, I don't know, this is the best restaurant ever, but we all know that nothing ever beats grandma's cooking. So it's like, do you want to go to the best restaurant in the city, or do you want to come out here and try and get grandma's cooking? And after this video is finished, we're gonna go scrounge around with a sign written in Polish saying we're looking for grandma's cooking. So that is the best education you can get. It is to go sit on a park bench and absorb that culture. And again, nothing against the sunbed holidays. If you work all year, relaxation is definitely something what you should be after. Not everybody can travel full time. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video there. Oh yeah, Sophia was saying, so behind the camera, what would you do if you can't travel? I'm in a very lucky position where I can travel full time for now. And I think it comes down to, again, libraries. Finding an author in the language what you're interested in, or in the culture or country you're interested in, discovering their work, and that's a good way to travel without traveling if you can't afford it, or if you just can't do it right now because you're tied down. I think that's better than watching TV shows, because a lot of TV shows are very opinion based and are not very objective. And usually at the moment there's this trend where it's about showing the person as opposed to the place. It's about the story of the person, which can be interesting if it's the right person, of course. So yeah, I'll end on that. Have a good week, a good weekend. Ciao.